Ben Spencer. No Adam Spencer.
Hubert, Jonathan impacted the game in so many ways tonight. From three, defensively, he had the lob to Henry, and even in the rebounding department. Just what did you like about Jonathan's team tonight, and how have you seen it evolve over the course of the season?
No, he was huge for us, just like you mentioned, in a number of different areas. Obviously, his ability to shoot the basketball was needed and was real tonight. Defensively, he's a big guard, physical, and Virginia Tech's offense has a lot of moving parts, and what is required is to get over, get through screens, and guard, dribble, drive, defend without foul, and then finish it with a rebound. And when you've got big physical guards like Jonathan, that definitely helps. He played at a high level on both ends of the floor. Did a good job taking care of the basketball as well, and so. Just him, our bench, Zayden again, just huge. Just the impactful plays that those guys were making to allow us to get the win tonight against, you guys see, just an unbelievably talented Virginia Tech team.
Spencer, the Andrew.
After he's 40 points in the paint on Monday night against Louisville and then only 12 in the first half tonight, was that a greater point of emphasis in the second half to attack the basket more and get inside at the rim more?
Yeah, we had some spirited conversations at halftime. I just want to dominate points in the paint. I keep it real with you guys, and I'm straightforward and direct with them as well. And I felt like in the first half we were settling, not persistent in trying to get to the paint. We had a couple of their bigs in foul trouble, and we wanted to establish Henry. When Henry is going offensively, it opens up everything for us offensively. I challenged him in the second half as well, and I thought with him, Seth, and everyone else just putting their head down and getting to the basket, it allowed us to get to the free throw line. And then tonight we were able to hit our free throws.
Spencer, the follow-up.
And if I could just follow up on that. Something about Henry in the second half all season. I think he had 18 points. You kind of just mentioned that you got on him at halftime. What did you see from him? What was the difference you saw from the first to the second half that let him, I think he tied his career high tonight?
Yeah, I felt like he worked harder to catch the ball where he wanted. And I felt like in the first half, he was letting Virginia Tech dictate where he was catching the ball, which was too far out. And I felt like he worked extremely hard to catch the ball closer to the basket, where if they came to double, it was an easy pitch out to the perimeter, and for him, just a one dribble step, and he was already at the rim with his length. So I thought his ability to catch the ball closer to the basket, he worked harder to allow them to have success in the second half.
Andrew, then Doug.
Hubert, I was talking to a couple of the guys about how they've improved since Caleb went down, and they all talked about edge. That Caleb brought an edge to the court, and they all felt like they had to pick up some of the slack of the edge that's not there, and they all think that collectively they've increased that. So when he does come back, there's even his edges. Have you seen that? Is that one of the areas of growth that you've seen from the team without having Caleb out there, and that when he does come back, it's even grittier bunch than it was when he went down?
I do think we've become a group that's edgier. I like to get more of an edge, but I do feel that way. We're finding ways, whether it's to get a stop, get a rebound, execute on the offensive end, take care of the basketball, make free throws, make a shot. The resiliency of this group through a lot of changes this year. The way that they have reacted and responded has been fantastic, and I told them again after the game, like I'm just really proud of them. And wanted them to celebrate a win. You always have to do that tonight, and then let's get back to work and prepare for a really good Clemson team on Tuesday.
Doug, then Michael.
Hubert, along those same lines, how have you seen Henry, if at all, evolve while Caleb's been out?
I don't know if he's evolved since Caleb has been out. I think he's just gotten better and better throughout the year. I mean, obviously his length is real. I mean, he does so much for us defensively of protecting the paint. Even if he doesn't block a shot, his length, it alters shots and deters teams of getting to the rim. And I thought he did a much better job of that in the second half. And then offensively, when you have a skilled big that can score around the basket and then also step out and shoot threes, also pass the basketball, I mean, that's huge. It's what a benefit. And I don't think it was just tonight. He's been doing that the whole season.
Michael and Brian.
Hubert, there were ACC games earlier this season where Zayden didn't play at all and where Kyan didn't play as many minutes as I'm sure he wanted to. But tonight, Zayden had 12 points off the bench, Kyan handling the ball against Virginia Tech's press late in the game. As a coach, how rewarding is it to see them have good games like this after some rough stretches earlier in the year?
I mean, I'm happy because it's rewarding for them. That's what I'm happy for. You know, one of the things that I always talk about is, you know, you just don't know when your number is going to be called, and then like your job and responsibility when it's called, you got to be ready, on point. And these guys are doing it, you know, and I'm really happy and proud for them, you know, because you know, the way that Zayden and the way that Kyan played tonight, their toughness, their resiliency has been at practice too. That hasn't wavered. It hasn't wavered of them doing extra stuff before and after practice. So it's not a surprise to me when they're getting extended minutes, them actually producing. It's because that's what they're continuing to do in practice when they did get minutes or when they didn't. And they're just a product of that.
Got time for a few more. Brian, then Mark Berman.
Hubert, can you talk about, I guess, the offensive efficiency tonight? I think over 50% from the field, around 40% from three, and then 80% from the line. What you've seen tonight, and not only over the last, I guess, 3 games now.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've our strength is really 2 things. One, getting out from an offensive standpoint, getting out in transition. And so when we can get stops and rebound, this is the first time we've out-rebounded an opponent by double figures. I can't remember when. And so that's the key for us offensively. We get stops. We run. We get out in transition. That's where we're at our best. And we're at our best when we are dominating points in the paint through post-up penetration, because if we get those baskets close to the rim, like, it also puts us in position to get to the free throw line. So I feel like, especially like the second half of Syracuse, game against Louisville, and tonight, just, you know, our offensive attack has been really good because of defensively rebounding the basketball and then offensively sticking to what's been good for us all year, attacking the paint.
The first Syracuse game was the last time, 10+. Mark Berman, and then
First Syracuse game, okay, great.
After Tech shot pretty well in the first half, did you guys feel like you did certain things defensively better in the second half to make it a tougher shooting half for them?
Yeah, we made some adjustments, you know, the way they were getting, but I felt like the reason they were getting their shots in the first half, one of the things I always tell them is, at this level, you have no chance of playing defense unless you play defense before you play defense. And I felt like in the first half, we were playing defense and reacting when the action started. So, like, I'm getting ready to play defense, but the guy was already coming down, setting the screen. It's too late. You're 1 or 2 steps behind. And so at this level, you got to be in a defensive stance. You have to anticipate actions so you can play defense before that action, whether it's a wide pin, flare, DHO, pick and roll, to even put yourself in a position to do that. I think that was a huge difference in the second half, us making a miss. I felt like we were ready to play defense as opposed to, like, reacting to it in the first half.
Last 2, Shelby, and then the gentleman in the second row. Next to Brian.
Hubert, I think you said last week that you'd have an update just on Caleb and how he's doing with some more imaging than he had done this week, so just wanted to see if there's any update.
Yeah, there is update. He doesn't have his cast on anymore, and he's allowed to. I can't do anything 5-on-5, but he can do individual workouts, and he can dribble, shoot. He can do everything, just nothing on contact. So that's a huge benefit for us. He's out of the cast and being able to work out.
Any sort of timeline for his return?
No, but I mean, moving in the right direction. And so he worked out today before the game and just was dribbling, shooting, catching like normal.
Last one right there in the second row.
Coach, to have Jonathan Powell full for 5 stretch, how pivotal was that having as an option from the perimeter?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, it's just, we're going to have to be able to shoot the ball from the outside. And, when you have somebody like Jonathan being able to score from the outside, that opens up everything. It opens up things for Henry. It opens up lanes for guys like Seth to be able to get into the lane. And he was huge for us. And he was taking the right shots, too, in transition, coming off some of our sets. And as I said before, it wasn't just shooting. I thought he was good defensively, rebounding the basketball. I thought he had a really good all-around game.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Coach will be on the ACC Zoom.